Trinidad and Tobago is generally seen as the modern-day home of bitters. It actually originates from Venezuela. Trinidad is separated by just a narrow stretch of water from Venezuela, South America. Let's take a look around Trinidad now. I asked our guide Elton to show us what makes Trinidad. It proved to be quite an interesting sort of a place. To my mind, Trinidad is the most cosmopolitan of the West Indian countries. It's certainly the most developed industrially. You see a real mix of cultures and ethnicity that you don't see in the other places. Bitters, like most spirits, started as the invention of monks and alchemists. They were interested in making people healthy. The herbs that are in bitters really are healthy. They're used as natural remedies. Its origins go back as far as ancient Greece, and from there it spread to Italy. Italy today is the largest producer of bitters, except they call it Amaro. In addition to Angostura bitters, you will have heard of Campari and Vermouth. These are the most well-known examples of spirit bitters. Campari is made from an infusion of alcohol and distilled water, which is added to a mixture of herbs, plants and fruits. Campari has an alcoholic content of 28.5%, which is a lot lower than Angostura bitters at 44.7%. It is important to remember that Angostura bitters is really only used a few drops at a time, whereas Campari is a drink in its own right. Vermouth is what's known as an aromatized wine, so it's a fortified wine, but it's had herbs and spices added to it. Being fortified, it has an alcoholic percentage of around 15 to 18%, a lot lower than Angostura. The key factor that links all the bitters drinks is that they taste bitter. This is through the addition of bitter herbs like wormwood, orange peel and gentian, for example. Went down to the pan yards and checked out steel drums, which are Trinidad and Tobago's national musical instrument. I was pretty keen about doing that, being a bit of a muso myself. Now, the steel drums are a big metal drum turned upside down, and they have dents in it to give you all the different notes. Anybody can play it, really, little kids right up to old people. You might have a group as small as 4 or 5 or as big as many hundreds. It's pretty cool to see that. There's often confusion between what constitutes a liqueur, an aperitif, or bitters. The fact is that there's actually a lot of overlap. It depends on what the predominant ingredients are and also just how they're marketed. Our focus in this module is going to be on aromatic bitters, which are added to drinks. This is what most people coming to your bar are going to expect when they ask for it. As a bar person, it is important that you are familiar with what spirits have bitters-like properties.
And this space was covered up recently.
With Chippy as our guide, our first activity was to get a feel for the layout and the size of the plant.
On weekends, this is part
Bitters
of the
might come in a small bottle, but the plant
function.
is certainly not small.
So we rent here as well as there, and another room called the glass room.
Much of the plant's capacity is geared around the production of rum. Rum generates more revenues for Angostura than bitters does, but for Angostura, rum and bitters are inseparable. Bitters from Angostura has a rum base. This base provides the required level of alcohol. Again, that's 44.7%. It helps to extract the essential oils from the botanicals and then to carry or suspend the aromas and flavours in the finished product. The rum base for bitters comes from sugarcane. We saw this being harvested back in Jamaica. The sugarcane is processed to form molasses. This sticky black stuff is slightly more potent than golden syrup. Well, everyone's familiar with LLB, lemon lime and bitters back home, but Chippy is going to show us here at the Oak Room, that's the in-house bar at the Angostura Distillery, some of the many other uses that bitters is used for in the Caribbean.
Hi Sam,
Okay. So, bitters.
Bitters.
Yes. Bitters is a miracle product. It's a marvelous product. It's something we use in Trinidad and in the Caribbean in everything, not just drinks, but in food as well. You know, if you're feeling sick, you have a stomach ache, a little diarrhea, you put some bitters in water, a couple dashes, and that's it. Instant. Yeah. So it's also used for medicinal purposes as well, as cooking and in drinks. See, now this is a bar and not a kitchen. I will do some cocktails for you, so you can have a little taste and a little idea of how versatile Angostura aromatic bitters is. Cool. All right? We use what is called a Scotch glass, or rocks glass, or old-fashioned glass. You add ice. 1919. About 2 ounces. And then you top that up with coconut water. Not forgetting, of course, the magic ingredient, which is Angostura aromatic bitters. You stir gently and drink.
Is it important to have the bitters sort of mix right through, or you expect it to sort of...
Yeah, well, some people actually don't even mix it. They just drink it out from the top of the glass.
Right.
And other people, they mix it in, so you get that flavor going throughout the entire drink.
Right.
And so this is a test we do to prove that this is Angostura aromatic bitters. What is supposed to happen here is when I put bitters into the orange juice, it is supposed to float. Okay. It is supposed to stay to the top until you mix it in.
Right.
If you use any other bitters, once you put it in, it just falls through.
Right.
All right, so even if they're using the same label, the same packaging, once you put it into the drink, you should be able to determine if it's Angostura aromatic bitters.
Sits on the top.
And if it's Angostura aromatic bitters, it sits on the top until you mix it in. So what I'll do for you now is mix a vodka drink, which is slightly different because, as you know, vodka is a colorless, tasteless spirit. Yeah. So it doesn't have as much flavors as the 1919 or the rum punch. Yeah. So I'll do a vodka mix for you, and the technique I'll use is shaken, because there are 4 different techniques in mixing a drink. Yeah. There's the shaken, there's the blending, there's the stir, and then there's the build, which is what you pour everything into the glass and then you drink. All right, so you pour that into the glass and you stir, and then there's the layered drink, which is a pousse café. So it's like about 2 or 3 different liqueurs in a shot glass, which you shot. Okay, so what the method I'll use again is the shaken method. So I have my shaker, here's my ice. And always remember to have a clean supply of ice for mixing your drinks. And the ice that you're using for mixing a drink you should never put a wine bottle into that ice, because it contaminates the entire ice, the entire set of ice. So you have clean ice for mixing your drinks, either shaved ice for blending, or block ice or cube ice for shaken drinks. So you put your ice in the shaker. I have my vodka, Sobieski Deluxe vodka. Again, we measure for consistency and so that we don't waste any alcohol. So we start off with 2 ounces again of vodka. And if you'd observe, I'm pouring directly over the shaker. And that is in case any of the spirits spill, it spills into the shaker. And it's not wasted again. Because what we're trying to do is minimize wastage. We then do ½ ounce of triple sec. ½ ounce of triple sec. Amaretto, again, something we don't produce, but we're the agents for it. ½ ounce of amaretto. What is also important in mixing cocktails is the smile. Because you want your customers to feel at home. You want them to feel at home by the bar. You know, you maintain eye contact with your customers so that they don't feel, you know, it's like a machine. Yeah. You're just in the bar and you're just mixing the drinks. Yeah. You know, enjoy what you do, love what you do. And at the end of the day, it might sound strange, but you get a better tasting cocktail.
Wow, true, yes.
So you mix your ingredients into the shaker, put on your top, and again, secure the top, secure the body of the shaker, and you shake vigorously. Finish shake. You have your glass with ice. Also remembering always to handle the bottom half of the glass, which is what we call our end. The top end is what we call the business end, because that is where the customers will be putting their mouth. So you don't want to be handing a glass like this. Always hand it to the bottom. You're about to pour. Secure the top of the shaker. And you pour. Again, once you measure constantly, you will get the consistency of the pour, because again, you don't want to pour the drink and then there's leftover in the shaker because somebody else might not come and order that same drink. Yeah. So you want to ensure if you're mixing for 2 people, 3 people, or 1 person, what you mix is actually enough to fill the glass. Yeah. And then the magic, Angostura aromatic bitters.
Okay, well, we've been very privileged and ready to be inside the manufacturing process for our bitters. And we're not going to see the secret room, of course, where they blend the ingredients to a special formula, but we are going to see the rest of the process. So here's Chippy again, he's our tour guide for the rest of the show.
So this is where we start. Presently, there are 5 people who know the secret formula to Angostura aromatic bitters, and these 5 people are who we call the manufacturers. So they know, each person knows the entire formula to Angostura aromatic bitters. The stuff we use to make the bitters is called botanicals. What we know about the botanicals is that it comes from different parts of the world, goes to England, where it's bagged and coated, and then sent to Trinidad. So when it gets here, it comes in bags with codes on them. Yeah. That's all we know. All right, so whenever we're ready for a batch, which is what the guys in here tell us, because the time factors are also part of the secret. So they don't tell us how often they make bitters or when it is made. So we can't say bitters is made once a week or twice a week. It's based on market demand. Yeah. So whenever a batch is needed, one of the manufacturers will go upstairs to what we call the secret room, which is a room just above us, and he will do the mixing of the different botanicals. Yeah. When he's done mixing the botanicals, he then sends it down through that white chute. If you look between the light and the machine, yeah. He then sends it down through this chute into this machine, and this is where we say the botanicals marry. Yeah. Because all the botanicals is mixed in this machine for X amount of time. Yeah. When this process is completed, the lever is pulled, this lever is pulled, and all the botanicals fall into this basket, which is then placed onto one of these 4 percolators. Now we call this a percolator because it operates like a normal coffee percolator. Yeah. But instead of coffee, we have botanicals, and instead of hot water, we use alcohol at room temperature. Yeah. Hence the reason for a bottle of bitters having 44.7% alcohol. Yeah. And this is where we say the botanicals are shampooed, because the alcohol actually washes the flavors from the botanicals. Why do we use alcohol? Because it's the best medium to extract the flavors from the botanicals. So this shampooing process takes X amount of time. Yeah. And when this is complete, we go to the other side of the room, where we go to what we call the sugar pan. So we have the sugar pan here where we add some sugar. And then we go to tank number 40, where we add some more flavors. What are the flavors? I don't know. That's all part of the secret. Yeah. So we add some more flavors, and then we come to these 4 vats, where we have Angostura aromatic bitters concentrate. Now the concentrate stays in these 3 vats for a period of not less than 3 months, so that the flavors can marry. And after 3 months, when we're ready to ship or to bottle, we transfer it to these 3 vats where we add distilled water, and voila, Angostura aromatic bitters.
Our tour of the Angostura plant finishes with the bottling line, which at the time was doing well.